Hi everyone, my name is Noah and I'm a first-year mechatronics and robotics engineering student here at Smith Engineering, and I'm also a first-year project coordinator with the Engineering Society of Queen's University. The Engineering Society is a student-run organization that hosts all sorts of extracurriculars, design teams, and extra student life initiatives here at Queen's University. For lack of a better word, they are the engineering student government of Queen's University. Now, when I first came to university, I had no idea what to expect. I was relatively underprepared, I didn't know very many people here, and I just overall was disorganized and essentially thrown into the whole university experience. The reason I set out to make this video is because I wanted to offer some tips to you guys and help avoid the situation that I was in when I first came to university. I'll have some tips from some faculty members, from some of my peers, as well as myself, and I really hope you guys can take away some useful points and that this just kind of helps you feel a little bit more prepared and ready for the exciting life that university really does have to offer.
I think the biggest thing, I know everyone says this, you've probably heard this a million times, but time management is super important. You'll find that if you take control of your time, if you're like actually conscious of what you do in a day, you'll realize that you have a lot of time for stuff. And I would say get that under control early, because there's a lot of first year involvement that happens early. So if you can figure out how much time you need to do your courses, you can figure out how much time you have to devote to getting involved. So that way you're not turning down opportunities just based on the fact that you might not have enough time. I think if you can figure out how much time you actually need to spend studying, you can figure out how much time you have for other stuff. The other thing is, I know coming from across Canada, there's different curriculums, but definitely do the QEng prep. It's there for a reason. Your first semester is going to be your biggest adjustment in terms of everything else but school, so don't make it a big school adjustment as well. Make sure you're prepped before you come here.
Yeah, so the course load is going to be way more than you're used to. That was something that really hit me. I'd say you gotta prepare an organizational system, because first semester you've got 8 courses instead of the 3 you had in high school, and so there's going to be assignments for them all. You got to make sure that you have a calendar or something, make sure that you can keep track of everything, because otherwise things will slip through the cracks and you'll be getting zeros where you really could have not. Those are like free marks you're missing outside of exams.
I think the biggest thing that I find a lot of first years, and I know I missed out a bit in first year, is get involved. The transition is big and you're going to have a lot higher workload than high school, and I know a lot of people, including myself, feel overwhelmed, but that should stop you from getting involved and taking advantage of the resources around you, learning new skills outside of your classes, and just doing as much as you can. University goes by so fast. Take advantage of every moment of it.
Well, I mean, as somebody that works in mental health and does mental health programming, it's all going to be about recognizing your stressors, knowing what ways that you start to feel stressed, start to noticing maybe the warning signs. So for some people it might be less sleep, or it might be sleeping too much. It might be pulling away and not relying on people, or it might be calling or reaching out a lot. But if you are able to start noticing when you feel yeah, things are getting stressful, yeah, that you're kind of losing your grip on your coursework or whatever, that being aware of the early warning signs is really helpful. So I would, before you come here, I would ask your friends, your family, if you have a good relationship with your teachers in high school, ask your support system what they see, so you can be aware of it.
Definitely planners and to-do lists are what keep me on top of everything. I've tried a lot of different things since I've been at Queen's. Before it was, okay, let's just make a list of everything we need to do today and get through it, but then I didn't really consider the time that would go through them, and that's led to a lot of 3 o'clock in the morning days. But now what I've discovered is using the Outlook calendar, I find is just so nice, because I put in chunks for my classes and any clubs I have, and then I really see, okay, this is the free time I have to do what I need to do, and then I'm able to kind of use this little online to-do list to just be okay, this is what I have coming up, these are the assignments I need to work on, this is what I need to study for, and I'm able to kind of like put, okay, this is priority 1, this is priority 2, and if something new comes up, it's really easy to just kind of like move something to the next day and reevaluate. So I find that just having everything out really visual like that on a planner is something that helps me a lot, because I find I'm a very visual person.
So I'd say showing up is the biggest thing that students might underestimate the power of. Just being in the room is really important throughout your career. So if you're in a class and you're studying, being in the room, you might learn something that you didn't think you might have learned that day, or perhaps you think you know something and maybe you don't really know it. But a lot of people think, oh, it's 8:30 in the morning, I don't want to be here. I already know the material well enough, I don't need to show up to class. Being in the room gives you a lot of access to just ambient knowledge is what I call it, just things that you didn't expect. And then also it's a good practice for future careers. So later on in life, you're gonna think, oh, this meeting is maybe gonna be really boring, I'm not gonna need to go to it, it's optional. But maybe if you went to that meeting and you are interviewing for a position a few months later, and that person that was in that meeting happens to be on the interview panel, that's a connection you would have made that you didn't otherwise make. And that goes for engineering education too. So like if you're in the room for APSE 132, you might be sitting next to someone that ends up being someone that you stay with for the rest of your 4 years. But if you didn't go to class that day, that was just a connection that you missed, right? And so those connections are probably the most valuable part of being in the room, beyond the knowledge.
If you fall behind in your courses, your academic advisor is going to be the best place to go. They are amazing. The first year advisors, you can book in with them online. Like, they're so easy to actually reach out and access. And they know like what is what's normal for first year. You know, they can kind of calm your nerves. If you know, end up not doing well in a course, they can help you out with taking it again or doing something in like extended program. If you're looking to get in a particular discipline, they can be like, oh, you know what, you can just take this class like later. It's not important, it's not a prerequisite. Like, it's funny to realize how not big of a deal it can be, even though you might feel like something is a huge deal. So going and seeking out an academic advisor to kind of get some perspective is really the best idea. And again, because I'm in mental health, I'm always going to say to reach out to mental health. We are unique in Smith Engineering because we have a wellness navigator. So he is just like our one-stop shop for anything that might be going on. You just easily book in with him online and talk to him. And so he can, you know, do talk about like tutors or EngLinks or like, yeah, academic advising or like the student academic success. Like, he can reach out and like help. So the wellness advisor in engineering is amazing.
I've worked in a couple faculties of engineering. Went to school at the University of Wisconsin. I worked at the University of Delaware. I work at Queen's. I'd say Queen's has a lot of tradition that goes along with the faculty, and the benefit of that is that it gives a lot of opportunities for culture building that don't exist in other faculties. So I think students here interact with each other more than other faculties I've worked in, and I think that kind of goes back to the piece before of making those connections. It's a very valuable tool for students to make connections, and I think Queen's has this really unique culture that brings students together more than other places, which I think is a really, really powerful tool. But with all of the changes that are happening with Smith Engineering, I think moving forward, there's going to be some really exciting things for future generations of students, not necessarily people now, that will help them tackle the challenges of the future. And also, I think it'll be a really unique style of engineer that we're going to create.
Specifically to Queen's, I would say you'd love it. Like, personally, as an international student, I was a bit skeptic about leaving my home country to come here, but the sense of community and belonging here at Queen's Engineering is something that's really easy to blend into. It's such a welcoming community, so you'll love it, for sure. It's one of the best choices I've made so far.
Now, my first little bit of advice is to really put yourself out there during orientation week and also buy that orientation week ticket if you're still on the fence about it. Orientation week is such an amazing experience, and it's only designed to make your integration to university as smooth as possible and as fun as possible. Now, during orientation week, try and meet as many people as possible. Talk to your orientation week leaders, the people in your orientation week groups, and just kind of make those friends. Those are your first real connections here at Queen's, and it really helps you open up to what life in general here at university is going to be like. The community is incredible, and if you don't open yourself up to it, then you're not going to be able to fully experience that. My second thing is take advantage of communal spaces. You're going to have your common room in residence. There's the engineering society lounge. When you're in upper year, there's discipline lounges. There are all sorts of spaces on campus that are shared by a variety of students, and those spaces are great just to join in on a random conversation that someone might be having, or to make a new connection that you never would have made before if you had just stayed in your room or gone and studied on your own. So that's also a very important thing, is spending time with some people who you may not feel 100% comfortable around, just because often those people have some very valuable messages and ideas to share.
Welcome to Queen's.
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 Welcome to Queen's. We look forward to seeing you on campus.